So transformations to parent functions. This is what you've looked at for the last few days. What happens when you change the values in an equation? So if I write out y equals a x minus h squared plus k. Each of those values do something different to the equation. So when you were exploring this on that activity, you should have seen the a stretches if it's larger than 1. It compresses if it's smaller than 1, and by smaller than 1 I mean like a decimal, like 0.5 or something like that. And then if it's a negative number, then it reflects over the x-axis. So the way I remember it is if it's negative, it opens down like a frown. If it is positive, it opens up like a smiley face. Okay, so that's what the a does. The h value, I'm going to go over here. The h value is a horizontal shift. Okay, but it's the opposite. That's why it says x minus h. So if it's negative, let's do positive first. If it's positive, it moves to the left however many units. So if your h is -4, it would move to the right. Positive, it would move to the left. So if it's negative, moves right, and it's by however many units as well. Okay, so h is horizontal, that's why we use an h. And then k is the vertical shift. So if it's positive, it moves up. If it's negative, it moves down. Okay. Now, the nice thing about these videos is if you're still writing this down, pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and move on to an example because I don't want you waiting on me if you don't need to. So I'm going to leave the equation up there and we're going to try an example. Okay, so if I have y equals 1/6 x plus 4 squared minus 2. So this 1/6 is a. So 1/6 is your a value. 4 is your h. And k is -2. So again, a, h, k, the h is always inside of the parentheses, the k is always at the end, and the a value is whatever's in front. So if you look at that, 1/6 is smaller than 1, so you know that it's going to compress, and we say it compresses by a factor of 6 because the 6 is on bottom. The 4 is positive, so that's going to move it to the left. So normally you would think positive goes right, but it's actually the opposite, so it moves to the left. And then -2 makes it move down 2. And when I say it moved down 2, I'm talking about the vertex. So if I sketch this graph, if I sketch this graph, you'll notice I always start with the vertex. And the reason I start with the vertex is because this stretches or compresses it, but I don't know how wide or skinny to make it until I have found my vertex. So positive 4, so I need to go from the origin, which is where the parent function's vertex is, and I need to move left 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I need to move down 2. So 1, 2. So that's where my vertex will be. The compressed is harder, but the easiest way to do it is if you move over 1, you should only move up a sixth of a point. So move over 1 and up a sixth of a point. So that's a really wide parabola. So I moved it left 4, down 2, and compressed by a factor of 6. So left 4, down 2, compressed by a factor of 1/6. And that's what this graph looks like. Okay, I'm going to do one more example. So again, y equals, let's do 4x minus 3 squared minus, let's do 2. Oh no, we just did minus 2. Let's do plus 2. Okay, 4 is the a value. Negative 3 is h. So a, h, k. If it helps you to write it out every time, do so. But this negative 3 is going to move it right 3. So 1, 2, 3. Move the vertex right 3. And then the k value is going to move it up 2. So 1, 2. That's my k value, or that's my vertex. And then the a, you always going to want to go by 1. So I'm going to move over 1, and I'm going to move up 4. So over 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then again on the other side. Over 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice it got really skinny. So you probably want to write yourself a little side note for your a value. Move over 1 and up whatever the a value is. So it's students in years past have said something about it being the slope. It is kind of like the slope because you move over 4, up 1. On that other one, you went up a sixth and over 1. So it really is the slope, but you can't do it after this point. You can only do it for the first point. Okay, so that is transformations. There is a worksheet for you to do. If you need help, of course, ask for help.